Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of Post Fight. And in this edition of Post Fight, I'll be doing Post Fight UFC on ABC 5, Emmett versus Topuria. So a lot to unpack here. My worst card of the year, my first card below 500. So I have straddled the line like 3-4 times this year, like 500 cards. You know, and now I have successfully successfully had an unsuccessful night and went 5-7 for this card. 5 of 13, 5-7, 5 of 13. Terrible card for me. But as always, I'll bounce back. But yeah, let's reflect on these L's and in this post fight. Or you can say where I went wrong, but the title now is post fight. So we're gonna focus on the L's. And yeah, so first L was the first fight of the card. We had Cedric Dumas versus Cody Brundage. And went low confidence Cody Brundage. I knew Cody Brundage don't have the best fight IQ. Cedric Dumas did not impress me at all in his debut. It was a very terrible debut. So I wasn't really expecting much. So it ain't gonna be like an L that I feel bad about. Cause at all, it was like a low confidence. Brundage overall should have been a better fighter, but he made bad decisions. And also I think he came in on short notice. So short notice plus jumping guillotine, just poor fight IQ. Allowed Cedric Dumas to, better control the fight and, win a pretty cozy decision over Cody Brundage. But I'm going for it. I ain't gonna be high. I'm still not gonna be high on either guy. Like Brundage losing like that now to Cedric Dumas. I easily see him lose another loss. Take another loss, take another L, and then been out of the UFC. Cedric Dumas probably gonna stick around for like 2 more years because he might, regardless if he win or lose his next fight. The fact that he did win the fight now, he probably gonna stick around. But it probably some fights he can eke around and win. And I don't feel like he's a bad fighter necessarily, but yeah, he's not really a bad fighter necessarily. And this fight, by winning, it allows him to stick in the UFC. Probably now take 6 more months to train for your next fight. 4 months train your next fight, get better. Young fighter, time to train and get better. Like I said, I'm not impressed with him as where he's right now, but he's a young fighter and he hasn't had all these fights. Brundage hasn't had a whole lot of fights, but he hasn't had as many fights as even Brundage in the UFC. So this is only like his second fight in the UFC. He's a young fighter. Now he's gonna get more time to get better, get trained to get better. But am I gonna have a high ceiling for him or anything like that? No, but I mean, he definitely, I feel, if, given time and training, he has good frame just to build upon. Like I said, I feel he's pretty thin and, built like the Cinnamon or whatnot. And, he has time to build upon himself, become a truer middleweight, put some muscle on and stuff, work some strength and conditioning, be around the right people, work on the skill, etch out his striking and whatnot. So, still a low ceiling for him, but, hey, sky's the limit when you can, be around the right people, build upon things, and be better, He fought a smart fight. It wasn't a case he just Brundage was just dumb or nothing. Big part was Brundage been dumb, but Cedric Dumas still made the right decisions in a fight that Brundage was making all the wrong decisions. And it's like, just as you could say, props to someone for not making making the right decisions, you could say props to someone for not making bad decisions. So, what are you even saying by saying that? I'm just saying, even though it didn't seem like he did a whole lot, it was more so Brundage. Like I said, Dumas could have easily did dumb stuff like Brundage did. So it's like doing bad stuff is doing and not doing bad stuff, doing and not doing good stuff. It's a pros to not doing dumb stuff. So that's a form of intelligence. But yeah, I'm saying a whole lot to say a whole lot. I say a whole lot to say a whole lot of nothing. So now to the next fight because that fight I really didn't care about, to be honest, too much at all. But yeah, I guess the biggest takeaway for that is Brundage looking like big fade material in his next fight. Walking papers, giving his walking papers next fight if he's not getting cut from this fight. Next fight we had Jack Jenkins versus Jamal Emmers. Ended up being a victory for me. But I will say I feel Jamal Emmers should have won that fight. But hey, I had a terrible night. But this fight been a terrible decision that ended up in my favor. I'm happy to get it. Next fight. Trevor Peek versus Chepe Mariscal. I think it was average count. This really should have been low confidence fight, but I went average because I feel Chepe Mariscal going to fight the type of fight that Trevor Peek wants him to fight, or Trevor Peek likes to fight. And it was a scrappy fight. It was crazy from start to finish, but somehow it still made it to the decision, which was crazy. I thought in the distance for sure. Whether he finished him or he finished him, it's going to be in the distance. But now it went to the decision. They both were going wild the whole fight. Trevor Peek's chin obviously holding up. Man got a phenomenal chin. And surprisingly, Chepe Mariscal's chin hold up as well in this one. But also the fact that he actually had better defense and Trevor Peek had terrible striking offense, terrible striking defense, but the man is just a warrior out there. He's just a dog. But yeah, wasn't very high on either guy going this one. But Chepe Mariscal kind of strikes me as what does he strike me as? I'm not gonna say I can't think of the guy he's striking me, but the guy who I'm thinking of actually knocked him out. But yeah, it's the reason why Chepe Mariscal got wins over Sabatini and Yusuf Zalal. Like, he got decent skills, but like again, like you see, he's this guy that likes to go out there and scrap, which is like can make you a 50-50 fighter. Like you could go out there. But yeah, before I was interrupted by that phone call. But anyway, I ain't editing that out. No point. But yeah, Chepe Mariscal. Yeah, he has a wild style. Ain't like he easily been a 50-50 fighter. You see, he could be guys like Sabatini because it's not like he a slouch no area. He's not a guy that's gonna get taken down. I'm like, oh, I can't get up for 15 minutes. Nah, he gonna get up. He gonna make you fight for every single thing in the fight. He gonna scrap. He got the skills. He not just some non-technical scrub. He got the technique and whatnot. But he's one of the guys that he has the technique, but he will like to get in, be pressured, throw heavy shots, go into these 50-50 exchanges. So he can easily be a guy that could beat a lot of people, beat some people that be surprised he beat them, and he could lose to some people that you're like, damn, how you lose to that? Like almost in some senses be Michael Johnson, even though Michael Johnson be a guy that like I can't get off my back. I'm compromised as soon as you get taken down. But in a similar sense, it's like he could trade wins and losses so easily because of his style, and that's why I was kind of banking on like he's more skilled than Trevor Peek, but he gonna go there and trade and pressure and trade with a brickhead like Trevor Peek. I feel he could have got knocked out, but also shows that in Trevor Peek's one win in UFC, well, he did win a contender series fight, but his one win in the octagon was over Eric Gonzalez, who just flat out he's not the best fighter. He's not the best fighter, so that helped in Trevor Peek getting that win in his debut in the UFC. But Chepe Mariscal is better, he showed that he's better. But again, going forward, it's gonna be hard to gauge Chepe Mariscal. I feel like he's gonna make me mad when he wins. He's gonna make me mad when he loses. Because when I pick him to win, he probably gonna get slept. When I pick him to lose, he's gonna come out there and have an amazing performance. Like he's just one of those guys that's like so. Again, such a weird style. And Trevor Peek, obviously, we know this guy ain't going very far. I feel like Chepe Mariscal can upset people in the top 15. Like I'm not banking on that, but I'm saying guys like him can upset guys in the top 15 and lose to guys in the top 50 or bottom 50. Like that's because of his style. Like you go with some bottom 50 guy that just got some decent takedown defense and got some steel hands and just touch him on the chin because he wants to trade 50-50 get knocked out. Whereas Trevor Peek, yes, he's tough and gritty, but that style ain't gonna take him. His style and attributes ain't gonna take him very far. Because the guys at the top, the top guys ain't just not gonna trade with him. They're gonna pick him apart from this, let him swing wild, and those helicopter guillotine punches or whatever, axe punches and whatnot, and just pick him apart. And some of them probably gonna knock him out on his back. But I mean, I don't think ever gonna even get that close to fight those guys unless they just need an easy win to put them back on a winning streak or the win side. But yeah, Trevor Peek's ceiling is very low, but he's as far as excitement, it's through the roof excitement, but skill and potential very low ceiling. But yeah, Trevor Peek easily fade material. Chepe Mariscal gonna be one of those guys that's gonna be hard to gauge because he, like I said, just has such a risky style. Yeah, and the next L, what's his third L now? Joshua Van versus Zhalgas Zhumagulov. And my lesson here with this L is that if guys are already losing like this, also like not just to focus purely on Zhalgas Zhumagulov, Joshua Van is a very talented young guy, like 20, 21 years old. You see the skill, you see the striking. Reminds me of a young Sergio Pettis or a younger Sergio Pettis. Very dynamic striker, very crisp, very technical, very fast, very sharp, and like just so sharp. But I thought Zhalgas was gonna be like probably blanking him a little bit against the cage, score some takedowns, probably do some heavy shots and just hold him. But I think with this one, I guess especially the Zhalgas is a favorite. It should have been, it should have been the right move to fade Zhalgas and lean to Van here, because yeah, Zhalgas was already had the walking papers, like he was just trying to make the UFC reconsider. I guess that's all he could do. But I think this fight clearly said like, yeah, you gone. And it's also not like Zhalgas. Like I always say, Zhalgas ain't the most phenomenal. There's he the most phenomenal that he got a pretty sturdy chin for the most part. Got okay enough striking, got okay enough wrestling, and he's tough. Like so, it's hard to really truly bank against that guy against elite competition or elite level competition. So Yeah, Van should have been a clear pick, especially as a dog. But we move, we learn. On to the next one. Do I feel all that crazy bad about that one? No. Like I said, the Dumas one was a can fight. The Champion America versus Her Peak fight. Two guys just gonna throw caution to the wind, so can't really get like super locked in on that one either. Like I said, guys that's gonna gonna throw technique out the window and scrap. Can't really put much confidence in that one. Zalgas versus Joshua Van. I think I'll put average confidence in this one, I believe. Or maybe I'll pick low, but Van clearly should have been the pick. Clearly should have been the pick. That was a bad pick by me. Was it a super bad or really a standout bad? No, but given all things considered, it was like Van should have been the clear pick. And then the next one was Tabitha Ritchie versus Jillian Robertson. And I was trying to go with a dog here. I've been liking the improvements of Jillian Robertson. I know she's been evolving at Goat Shed. And I think she's still evolving at Goat Shed. But I think it's going to kind of be like Angela Hill in a way. Not drawing exact parallel. Like, oh my gosh, she's Angela Hill. She's exactly Angela Hill. I'm not saying that. But I feel by my comparison, what I'm trying to say is I feel like she's going to adhere. Let me see. Adhere. She's going to adhere to the pecking order. Like, she's gonna lose to like everybody in the top 15 basically, or roughly a lot of the people in the top 15, and probably beat nobody in the top 15. Like, she'll make these improvements here and she'll make the improvement there, but ultimately she'll never fully make all the improvements she needs to be a top 15 fighter herself. So she's gonna always lose to the women that are in the top 15. It seems still young, still not 30 yet, but like, she's been in UFC a long time and still hasn't been able to get over the hump. Like, lose every time she gets to the spot where she can be ranked at the weight class. And like, I don't think it's gonna be standing, or maybe it's gonna be the case she might finally get into the rankings later on in life. Yeah, later on in life. But I guess going forward, I guess thinking there's a big note to write about Jillian Robertson. I guess she is not in the top 15. She's not a top 15 fighter. And she abides to the pecking order, and she abides that she is not among the top 15 and not among the elite. She can look good and solid and elite at times. You know, she probably beat some elite people in BJJ tournaments. But as far as MMA, she's going to adhere to the pecking order and never really be a top 15 fighter. And that's what a note I'm going to make. I'm not going to make that a lock note, like always fade her in top 15, but it's going to be something, you know, big in the back of my mind every single time she fights a fight that's, you know, could put her in the top 15 or put her in place to, you know, very much be somebody that can, you know, be one step away from top 15 or right in smack in the top 15. But I think a big issue with her in this fight, let's go beyond the you know, a little bit deeper than the broad scope of things. I feel issue that Jillian Robertson had in this one. She didn't mix enough takedowns. She didn't threaten enough with takedowns, I think. And she got slow feet. What's called? Tabitha Ritchie clearly had the better footwork. Jillian Robertson kind of like a slow knock knee footwork. She needs to work on that, make her feet faster so she could catch the smaller person, cut them off. And that would better help her to cut off the smaller Tabitha Ritchie or smaller fighters, or just better footwork fighters, fleeter and or better footwork fighters, little swifty fighters, or anything. Even if it's fighters that don't got the best footwork, you having better footwork is going to help you regardless. So lesser footwork, better footwork. The better your footwork, the better you'll be able to control the fight. Set up your own strikes, create your angles, cut them off, and then when you cut them off, set up takedowns and whatnot, set up combinations. But her footwork needs big improvement. She needs to bring out that ladder, need to put some ankle weights on something, do all the footwork drills she could do underwater, above sea level, mountain high, do whatever she need to do. She need to do mountain climbing, do whatever she need to do to fix her footwork, because the footwork is lacking. But anyway, go win for Ritchie. I think Ritchie could continue to go on and win, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to really follow her more and I guess stop fading her as much as I do, and start believing her a little bit more. I definitely don't think she's gonna be no champion in this weight class. I'm not even sure she'll challenge for a title, but I think she can like rise up that top 15 for sure. But I don't think she breaks into the top 5. But gotta follow her a little bit closer, study her a little bit more. But as far as going forward, I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna gauge that. But gotta put a little bit more respect on Ritchie going forward. All I gotta say, I put a little bit more respect on her. And to the next one. So what is like my fourth L? So 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth L. We have Matus Rebecki versus Loic Rajabov. And up until this point, Matus Rebecki to kind of stroke me as a guy that just go for takedowns, like pretty good wrestler, pretty good grappling. Spammed a lot of overhands. And I know Loic Rajabov has dealt with a lot of fighters like that and has had decent success against some elite guys that have that similar style. And I thought he would be the stuff takedowns and hurt him and put him away. And I think he did do that for a good bit. But I think ultimately, Rebecki started show a little new wrinkle in his game. Those leg kicks started to batter his leg kick and was eventually, I said batter his leg kick, batter his legs, get a leg kick TKO. But I think with this one to kind of, I don't know how it affects Loic Rajabov. It's definitely not a good look for Rajabov. I think his stocks drop, but not tremendously. I think Rebecki's stocks rise a good bit, and also it affirms that Rebecki is a guy that's a winner. He might not seem like the most phenomenal striker, the most phenomenal, most special talent looking fighter, or nothing like no real elite. Like this guy is such a phenom or nothing like that. He might not look like that, but what I will say, like he's established himself. Like yes, don't just look back, don't just look with your eyes, but look at his track record. Look at his track record. This guy is a winner. You know, we find a guy like that, they could be like 4'8", look short, have T-Rex arms, but they'll find a way to win. Or they can fight a guy that looks like the perfect pitcher, and they'll beat them. I'm not saying Rajabov is, I'm not saying Rajabov isn't, but I'm just saying Rebecki, that's just like one of these little variables that you can't necessarily fully see. It's not really fully on paper, but something like, it's like an asterisk. You gotta go into the special menu. This guy has the winner perk. He's gonna find a way to win. I'm not saying he's gonna go in there and be elite. Nah, but I definitely can see him as a guy that like kind of be hard to pick against him going forward until you fight until he fights another special talent or a guy that just wants to have a special night. But yeah, was that the fifth L? 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth L. We kind of coming to the end of the L's a little bit. Fifth L. And then the 6L, we had David Onama versus Gabriel Santos. And yeah, I thought Gabriel Santos was the better overall fighter. I liked his takedowns in his last fight against Leron Murphy. I feel it was a very close fight that he probably could have even won in that fight against Leron Murphy. And I feel like Leron Murphy has, I'm not gonna say this, but anyway, I just feel yeah, let's focus on this fight particularly. I don't feel bad. That's what I'm gonna say about this all the L's. I don't feel bad about this L. I don't feel bad about this L. So what did you learn? And what's the point of making this video if you don't feel bad about any of these L's? That's damn near all the L's. Like, you don't feel bad about not a single one. There's 7 of them. You gotta feel bad about some of them. There's definitely one I feel bad about. But this, out of all the ones, I feel like this is the one I feel least bad about out of all of them. Like, I actually gotta feel bad about all of them, but this is the one I feel least bad about is the Onama versus Santos fight. I feel like Santos was fighting a good fight, but and I feel like he was fight was going the way, going a course that was like leaning to him getting the victory, potentially even a 3rd round submission, like I was predicting. But another thing about fighting is like you gotta be on your P's and Q's at all times, like especially with a guy who got heavy hands, like because the fight could be going your way, you could be out striking him, you could be getting the grappling, he could start mouth breathing. Balls it takes for him to find you in a little mental lapse, or he gets you in a little pattern. He see you leaning your head in, like kind of weighting your head in a little bit to try to create a clinch or something, and then he just walk into an uppercut, and you out cold, fight over. And that's what Onama did. It wasn't just a lucky punch. He set him up. He saw a pattern. He found it. Like Osano was fighting a great fight, but he fell into a pattern, and Onama was able to see it, and he was able to capitalize and put him out. So yeah, Santos is a good fighter. I feel like overall he's the better fighter in my opinion. Obviously, he didn't win the fight, so by that stance, Onama, by that statement and by that fact, Onama was the better man on the night. But I do feel like Gabriel Santos is the better overall package. But what does that matter? Like at the end of the day, it comes down to who wins. Like you gotta have all the accessories and all this and all the accolades, but the man with just the right hand could knock him out, and he's the better man on the night. But what I would take from that is hopefully Gabriel Santos gets a step down or a couple steps down. He could power some wins. I think he's a good fighter. He's a young fighter, and he could definitely evolve. And sky's the limit with him as long as he keeps improving and doing the stuff. And takes this as a lesson and learn from it, and get better. Onama keeps his hopes alive, and revives his stocks. And Onama's a guy that could go pretty high. Like I was pretty high on Onama up until the Landwehr loss, even after the Jones loss, but the Mason Jones loss, but. yeah, his stocks, revive, and if he could work on that cardio, work on that grappling a little bit, sky's the limit with him as well. And I'll keep working striking. Striking's already at a pretty good level, but could work on that more. But definitely work on his wrestling and grappling, his cardio, and that would make him even more scary. I think if we work on those things, he could be a top 15 fighter very soon. Santos, this guy work on winning. That's like the most important thing. But yeah, I don't feel too bad about this one because again, it was just like that. It wasn't a case of like he was setting him up for that for rounds and rounds. It's like something he just picked up on, and then probably like maybe it really wasn't even like a long period of him setting that up. It was like a short period. Sometimes you see people setting stuff up. They've been setting it up from round one, from 30 seconds to the first round. They've been setting something up. They don't finish it to the fourth round. Like with the minute, like the clock winding down in the fourth round, they don't land it. That was kind of like he saw something he started knowing in the second round, feeling on in the second round, and then he was able to capitalize on it. Probably like a minute of recognition of it. Then he was able to finish it up in that from that minute to that minute. But yeah, but good win for Onama. I guess the biggest issue with that one is like it was high confidence, but again, it is what it is. That's it is what it is, like because that's one of the natures of the game. And now, I guess my most stinging loss was the Macy Barber versus Amanda Hebus, and this was my seventh and final L. Um, I had already labeled Macy Barber as an anti-grappler, like she does well against grapplers. Like you'll strike with decent takedown defense, you'll pick her apart, and probably close to a decision against her. But grapplers, you'll struggle with her, and I think matter of fact, I don't think she really even lost to a grappler outside of Roxanne Modafferi, and that was a case of this experience, and in fact, but yep, interrupted by a call yet again. But anyway, ain't editing that out. I said editing, ain't editing that out. But yeah, I already labeled Macy Barber as anti-grappling. That stuck through. I should have stuck with it, but I picked up on a pattern that Macy Barber was giving up more and more takedowns. They were talking about in the video in the fight, like her takedown defense is evolving, but I was like, it's actually de-evolving at least up to this point. But hey, stats could say the stats, but he knocked the person out. Who cares about the stats? Like once you knock someone out, the stats don't matter. But I was saying like she got taken down by like five times at least by Andrea Lee, who's not really the best at offensive takedown. Andrea Lee's a well-rounded fighter, but she's not really known for taking fighters down a lot, especially if Barber is supposed to be this anti-grappler or supposed to have solid takedown defense. She should not be getting taken down five times by anyone, let alone let alone Andrea Lee. That in prior fight, she gave Jessica I like 8 minutes of control time and barely beat a retiring Jessica I. So like, it's like a sting. Like Barber's this anti-grappler, her takedown defense is getting worse and worse instead of getting better. And Amanda Hebus, typically, she was a BJJ fighter more so, BJJ judo, and her takedowns never really been the most phenomenal. But her last fight, Vivian Arajo, she was taking her down well. She dropped her. She was looking better and better against Caitlin Chukagian, who had takedown defense has gotten better over time. Has been hard to take down. She took her down several times and held her down and had a very close fight with her that she could argue she won. So it was looking like her takedown offense is getting better. She's becoming a better mixed martial artist. With Macy Barber is looking like she's plateauing and she's just getting worse at it, what she's already good at. Like she's supposed to be the anti-grappler. Her takedown defense will be solid, but her takedown defense is getting worse. Her striking looks much smoother when she was, on the Contender Series and whatnot, and as opposed to now, like not looking stiffer, looking like she got more meat on her body and stuff, and it's just not working for her. She's probably stronger or whatnot, but she's slower, stiffer, more telegraphed with her strikes. So like she looked like she was declining, but ultimately that anti-grappler still held up. But also what helped it is the fact I feel Amanda Hebus, she got away from the game plan. I feel that lost her the fight and ultimately left her open to be hurt and finish like she was. She went up, kept going for those leg locks, was getting pounded on the mat, and her face busted open. I think she got little mental things in the fight affect how you move. I think when she got hit with like a punch or elbow, which bust her nose up or bust her head up and caused a leak, I feel like that threw her off her game a little bit. And I feel like what especially threw her off her game was when she kept going for these leg locks and took all that heavy damage on bottom, rolling for a leg lock here. It's like how many times you gotta get smashed in the face, you realize just give up the ankle lock and just try to stand back up. And I feel like she was stuck to her original game plan, or at least what she originally was doing. Her technique, her striking looked all herky jerky, herky like she a giant beetle. She all spastic looking with it. It was working. Her punches looked crunchy and whatnot, but they were working. Like she was firing her jabs, she was bouncing around, doing a lot of feints, but she was at least allowing herself to find openings and And Macy Barber was outlanding Macy Barber. She was able to land her shots, keep Macy Barber on the back foot. She was initiating the clinch, and again, like she was controlling the fight, and like she was winning the fight. And then really, like I said, the cut caused her to kind of get off her game a little bit, but she still was winning. But then it really started to shift when she gave up that round by going for an ankle lock. Like that, she never did that. She just bailed on the ankle lock maybe after one attempt, and then went back to throwing punches and going for head and arm throws and whatnot, and hip tosses and whatnot. She probably would still eke that round out. Took a little bit of ground and pound, a little bit. I said maybe one attempt should have been enough. Like, oh, I got hit like 10 times, and she ain't giving this leg lock up. She ain't giving this ankle lock up. She ain't giving none of these submissions up. Let me bail on it and go back to bouncing, firing a two, bouncing 1-2. You know, just throw some little weak front kicks out there. Just like I said, just keep her on the back foot and follow the Neil Magny study guide and get a decision victory or something, or at least, at the very least, get a decision victory and keep her on responsive. Spam, you know, this bunch of bouncing and fainting. 1-2 combinations, combination here, one punch, two punch, just like I said, just keep her on the back foot, and that's the whole point. And then get her in the clinch and hold her against the cage. And then maybe hit an arm thrower every now and then to get like 30 seconds here of control time, 40 seconds here of control time, and grind on the fight. But again, I think when she went for those ankle locks to call that damage, I think that threw her out of game plan. So if she didn't do that, she would have won the first round. Then she went to the second round, bust up already, and now more blood leaking out of her face because now she got pummeled on the ground trying to go for these ankle locks and leg locks all hard. Then in the second round, she was more urgent to try to win the second round. Like she was feel like, oh, I'm down 10-8. I don't know what she feel like she was in, but she was going for broke. And there's still 2 rounds left in the fight. No, maybe she felt like she hurt Barber, or she was getting a reaction on Barber. But either way, she felt like whatever she was doing, the combination, whatever she was thinking in her head, caused her to, you know, kind of let her defense slack, get away from her game plan, and then she just started trading shots with a woman who hits way harder than her. And Amanda Hebus already don't got the best chin, and then she started trading with a woman who has more size on her and more power on her, and really the cleaner striker of the two. Even though Hebus, like I said, when you mix in the grappling and stuff and the hit and arm throws and all those factors, she can win the striking because now Barber is on the back foot and, you know, responding to her. So she kind of like, you know, playing player B. But when you start turning into a 50-50 exchange, you just throw your whole game plan out the window. And ultimately, what happens? You get knocked out like that. But yeah, I gotta respect Macy Barber's anti-grappler more. I guess that's the style she's gonna win on for, I guess, at least the next 3-4 years. Unless she goes in with like a really special grappler, really special wrestler. She's probably gonna lose that case, but yeah, I don't see her being no champion though. I think Gross is still much cleaner striking her, will beat her. She ain't beating Valentina Shevchenko, at least not anytime soon. And yeah, I can't really see her beating no one else. At best, she might eke out a controversial split decision over them, but cleanly, can't really see her beating nobody that's like, you know, really in that title picture right now, because I feel like most of them kind of lean to more either super well-rounded and they're better strikers than her, or kind of a little bit more one-dimensional, but they got decent takedown defense and they got their, again, better strikers than her. It's going to be hard for Macy Barber to beat better strikers than her because her offensive takedowns aren't the best, so she just kind of forced to strike with better strikers. So stylistically wise, she can do good against grapplers. She's a good anti-grappler, but as far as striking wise, she's not a anti-striker. That's her weakness, if anything, right now. And yeah, that's the whole card for me as far as losses. That's 7 L's. And definitely going to do better next card. Next week looking pretty easy, and I will say that. But let me say the main event. Oh, I'm going to talk about the main event briefly. So, yeah, Ilia Topuria won. He looked every bit of a lot of confidence, and I think that was more than deserved for the lot of confidence. So, hey, I think too high confidence dropped for this week for me. But the locks, you know, and PFL went through. I think the locks and Bellator went through. Matter of fact, yeah, the PFL and Bellator locks went through. And my one lock for the UFC went through. So, good on that. And with this one, I'm not going to talk too much about it. But, yeah, good win for Ilia Topuria. I would wish he had went in there and knocked Emmett's socks off and knocked him out and got the finish. But I think in actuality, this win is better for him. The way this fight went is way better for him. It showed he could go 5 rounds. Obviously, it wasn't like a high, intense 5 rounds where, like, Emmett really was going for takedowns and it was such a close fight. It really dominated one-way traffic for the most part. I mean, the stats might say, oh, it looked like it's pretty close, but as far as effective traffic, Ilia Topuria was like, you know, shutting him out every single round. It wasn't competitive. or wasn't notably competitive, or anything I would call competitive. But yeah, he was able to go 5 rounds. Like I said, it wasn't that really no war of attrition, crazy no fight for Topuria where he had to really exert himself. He stayed composed, stayed with himself for the most part. Probably a couple few little moments where he kind of got beyond himself. But for the most part, he always got back with him himself. Stay close. I mean, stay tight with shots, work behind the jab, stay fundamental, and let Emmett swing wild and sloppy, and just took advantage of him the whole fight. So he showed he can be more composed. He's not just gonna be that guy out there, kind of leave himself open to land big shots to the body and these big destructive combinations. He showed like I can work behind my jab, I can use footwork, I can move my head, I keep my hands side. Like he showed he can fight a post fight. And on top of that, he's already a BJJ black belt, got good wrestling defense, good wrestling offense. So he's the full package. Like I said, he has the skill, the power, the technique, the athleticism, and now he's showing the fight IQ, he's showing the cardio. But yeah, it's a good sign for him to be able to go 5 rounds instead of just knocking Emmett out in 1 round and he won't be able to show his cardio. So, and if anything, that raises his stocks even more. So if he does go against Volkanovski, in either a fight from now, next fight, or if it's Yair or whatever, in a fight from now, I mean, yeah, in the next fight, he at least showed that I could go 5 rounds. Like that would have been much better than if he just ran out there and knocked Emmett out in 10 seconds. And then now we're just saying like, well, we know Volkanovski's a beast. He can go 5 rounds. He can do everything. Topuria is a scary knockout artist, but hey, Volkanovski could just take him 5 rounds and he easily beat him. He probably would still say that to some extent if he could take him, beyond the first 2 rounds. But it's definitely not as easy to say now because now that we saw that Topuria could look good, look fresh for 5 rounds if needed. But again, Volkanovski just a different beast. Probably not as necessarily strong of a chin as Emmett. May not gonna take as much damage as Emmett took in that fight, but Volkanovski's a very tough guy. He's not gonna quit and gonna push. He's gonna make you work way more than Emmett did, and he's a much better fighter than Emmett. So yeah, different fight, different ball game, but ultimately, again, I feel like this was a good win for Ilia Topuria, and it's the way that he needed to win the fight. He still could have put a stamp on him in the 5th round, and still would have said I went 4 rounds, or knocked him out in the final minute. Like say, it might as well have been 25 minutes, but I also knocked him out. But hey, it also showed that Emmett started to say to throw caution out the wind in the 5th round because he knew the fight was lost at that point, and Topuria wasn't smart enough to be like, I could go in there and trade with him and potentially lose this fight and then set myself back or ruin my chance of this and blemish my record, potentially trying to go for the finish. Or I could just go for this takedown, control him, and then just beat him with skill and just grind out a decision and let the fight coast through. And he showed, like I said, that intelligence. He showed his cardio, he showed intelligence, he showed a lot of different wrinkles that he wouldn't have shown if he just knocked him out in 10 seconds. So ultimately, it was a good showcase performance for Ilia Topuria. At the end of the day, he knocked him out without knocking him out. He dominated him the whole fight, dropped him, came close to finishing him several times. I think in one of those rounds, it was a little bit more time on the clock. He would have finished him, but again, good win for Ilia Topuria. And again, he showed the stuff he needed to show. And in my opinion, he knocked him out without needing to knock him out. So yeah, good win for Ilia Topuria, and the sky's the limit. He's already right at the top. All that's left for him now is maybe one more big fight or the big fight, the title fight, if he can get a winner of Yair versus Volkanovski. But yeah, that's the video. Again, went 5-7, 5 of 13. Terrible card, but without a doubt, next week will be a good week. I ain't saying it's gonna be perfect, but hey, why not? Why not me? Why not a perfect card for me? But I think it's gonna be, without a doubt, much better than this card. Obviously, he gonna go up from here, and I'm saying a very positive. I'm saying one of my better cards of the year come in next week, and I think a lot of people have good cards next week. But at the end of the day, it ain't about what other people. It's about me. So yeah, especially when I'm talking about myself and my channel, yeah. I don't care if everybody else has a perfect 11-11. If I have 11 of 11 or 12 of 12, 13 of 13, 7 of 7, I had 7 of 7. So that's a phenomenal card for me. And I'm talking about, going forward in any particular situation. But I think next week gonna be a good week for me. I think it's an easy week to be honest, but I also been saying that's gonna be a good week for me regardless. If it's a good week for everybody, and it's a good week for me, yeah. And I'm just repeating myself. So again, 5-7, 5 of 13, horrendous card, my worst card of the year, my first card below 500 for the year. But I will bounce back, and next week will be a bounce back week, and I will do phenomenal. And that's in every sense of the word. Every sense of phenomenal. Betting, prediction, views, everything. I will kill it next week. And I can promise you that. I ain't promising you perfection, but I'm promising you a phenomenal card next week. So stay tuned, stay locked in, like, comment, subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.